Welcome to PsychicBent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic.
Welcome back, listeners, to PsychicBent. We certainly hope you've been enjoying your summer so far. It's been a little crazy for us. This episode, we wanted to talk about the Haunted America conference that we had attended recently and that we had promoted on the podcast, and let you know how it all went for us and everything that, well, our observations and such that took place. But before we begin that, we have decided to change the format on the podcast. I know I've already mentioned it on Facebook that we were going to be doing this, but we're going to start releasing episodes every other Monday instead of every Monday and see how that goes. And let us know what you think of that.
Well, that seems to be the norm, Kim, for a lot of the podcasts.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Yes. And so we're going to try not to overwork ourselves and go that route.
Yeah, we're going to take a breather every once in a while. Yeah, definitely, especially this time of year. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the Haunted America. I will be inserting little segments that we recorded during the actual convention. There will be a lot of feedback in there, but I believe you'll be able to hear what we discussed and everything. And we hope you'll enjoy those little segments when they happen. So, Carrie, what was your impression when we first got there and everything?
I've been going for years,
yeah.
So I really didn't have an impression. I think you're the one who had more of the impression because I'm so used to doing this conference and I'm used to the different kinds of energy. Some years is more out there than others from a psychic perspective and as an empath. But I kind of, I came fully equipped, as Kim would tell you. I don't travel. I came from North Carolina to Illinois, and I traveled with my holy water, my smudge spray. I was ready to go because you just don't know. There's haunted artifacts at this show. There's Ouija boards, and they luckily had them in a different area than out on the vendor floor like they had in the past. And there's so much energy tied to things.
Yeah.
Whether it's a person walking by and they're there just because of the excitement and because this is what they wait all year for this event. It's like their Christmas kind of thing. They get very excited and the energy's really fun. When I'm more prepared now for all the different energy I come in contact through these shows because it's the yin and the yang. You got all different kinds of people,
mm-hmm.
all different kinds of belief. That no one's right, no one's wrong. It's just different. So, but Kim, this was your first time experiencing this. So I think it was a little more unnerving for you, maybe. Maybe unnerving is not the right word, but how did you feel?
Well, when we first got there, it was a little chaotic. And in all fairness, the people that were there were feeling the chaos as well because it was moved to a different building without letting people know ahead of time that it was being moved to a different location. So it was a different setup for everybody. And you could feel that kind of energy as soon as you walk in, because it did seem a bit confusing to me at first. And then there was a lot of other energy that was taking place as well. The excitement, the adrenaline, and everything that was going on. And yeah, you could definitely feel and tell that everybody was ready to go, though. They were really keyed up, I guess you could say.
And, what's really good about this kind of situation, it helps you identify your vibration level versus someone else's vibration.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that.
So as a light worker, your vibration, in my opinion, is higher than if you're not a light worker. I could be totally wrong. It's just in Carrie's head, that's how it is. Because I run into people at these events that sometimes they take a moment to get used to my vibration. And some can't handle the level that I'm vibrating at. Because I'm not only promoting my metaphysical jewelry, but Spirit's also talking to me nonstop. Like someone says, what does a stone do? Well, what Spirit tells me it does is what I'm telling them because that Spirit knows what they need.
Right.
Sometimes the person who's looking at the jewelry can't handle my vibration. and I have to step back. I don't know if you noticed that when you were there on Friday, but there were times I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna step back, let your energy absorb what you know. But it's kind of where I'm picking up. Like it's like when your vibration is really high, it's like you being strung out on caffeine
Right.
versus someone who just woke up.
Which you do that.
Well, I do get, I love my coffee, don't get me wrong, but I take it when your vibration is higher because you have to have your vibration higher to be able to communicate with spirit.
Mhm.
I think that that can almost be jittery to some other people.
Yeah.
Like you ran into some energy that you were not prepared for on that Friday.
Yes, I did. I did. I thought I had my
Yes.
vibrations up. I thought I had my bubble up. And I just happened to. You kind of had to weave your way in and out of some of the booths that they had set up. And I came around a corner and ran right into. It wasn't quite a wall of emotion, but it was definitely emotion that hit me. And I was looking around trying to figure out, okay, where'd that come from? Is that me or not? And it was obviously not me because as I walked away from that area, it stayed there. It didn't, I didn't have that feeling after that. But it was definitely emotion that took place at this particular spot.
Yes. And what's different about a paranormal conference versus a craft show is totally different vibe, different energy. Because we had, I don't know how many psychics in this room.
Yeah.
You had people that were doing tarot. You had people doing different types of readings. You had psychic readings going on, oracle cards. There were psychics pretty much throughout.
Right.
And, each one kind of doing something a little different. You were tripping over psychics. But with that, and you have all these psychics doing readings and stuff, that's going to give a little more different energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have someone who is excited. They want to go to the after hour tour. They're going to do a ghost hunt, or they're going to learn to draw a pendulum chart, which I wanted to do that. By the way, I didn't know they were offering it. I would have gone. But, so you get all this different energy, and you've got the people that have never been before, and then you got the people that are wearing, the macabre. They're embracing this. This is their Christmas type thing, like I said earlier. So they're wearing their macabre clothes, their macabre jewelry, and their energy is way up because they're having fun.
Right.
And you do get, some people that practices may not be in line with your practices. And so that energy kind of clashes a little bit, not to be a hostile clashing, but it does clash a little bit because you got two different vibration levels, and it's kind of like a bubble bouncing off a bubble, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that does. But then there's also the ones that want to try to invade your bubble for their reasons.
You're always going to find a bully in the group.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. It was bully.
Yeah.
Bully, yeah.
Yeah. And some people just, it's a game to them. They're not realizing that what they're doing because they've done it to people that didn't know that what was happening.
Right.
We were all three together, and it was just kind of like, okay. And it happened when they showed up. Did she know she was doing it? I don't know. I'm thinking probably.
Probably.
It was kind of like the cat playing with the mouse kind of thing. Like, oh, cute. They think they're psychics. That kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And, we just basically took care of our energy. Because, the one thing is your energy doesn't resonate with someone else's energy. You just walk away. Like, okay, you be you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be me over here and have a nice day, And when you react that way and not, get all, then that kind of diffuses the situation too, because they get the desired results they were hoping to get.
Yeah, right. They didn't get their reaction. That's good.
Yeah. But it was kind of like, it wasn't my first time being exposed to them. So it was kind of like, here we go again,
Yeah.
But it's one thing, and there are always going to be some people that they mean the best. They believe in what they do. They're excited what they do. And sometimes ego steps in. And that's where I think that was more the bully came from that. Also, I think it's because it was a different vibration level. Some people don't like high vibrations. They just don't like it.
Yeah. It makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think that happens in everyday life where, you're spiritual, you've done your inner work, and your vibration's high, and you're working on your psychic abilities. And there are going to be people in the normal world that don't like you because of your energy, which you're like, my energy is great. Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Your energy is great and theirs isn't.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so they can't, yeah, it's hard to be around you when you're vibrating at the light is vibrating through you, and you're communicating with spirit, and they're like, oh, okay, let me go the other direction. I don't know what's going on over here. It happens in the just general public. But I personally think paranormal conventions are a lot more fun than craft shows.
Oh. Well, it was definitely entertaining. I mean, it was entertaining through the whole thing, but I found it fascinating watching everybody and just kind of seeing how were they reacting to what they were seeing and stuff. It was really interesting.
We had Ghostbusters walking around.
We did.
They weren't the actual ones from the movies,
Yeah.
but these guys were a lot of fun, and they were making their rounds, which was fun. The Hannibal Lecter mask was a little creepy, but I don't do horror, so
Yeah.
would not have been appealed by that. I don't know if you saw the Annabelle doll,
Yes.
the Raggedy Ann. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, Carrie doesn't like dolls.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
well, there were two booths that had dolls, and the one you had talked about before that they're haunted dolls, and then the other one, which I didn't feel anything off of that booth, but at the other
No,
booth
no.
that I went to that had painted dolls. I'm not sure what that booth was all about or that display that they had, but I got creepy off of that one. And that's where the sad was, where I felt the sad. I don't know. I don't know if something was tied to those or something around there, but there was definitely feelings at that other one.
Yeah. Now, the first booth you're talking about, she actually owns an oddity emporium. So she has a business of oddities. And so a lot of her inventory comes from her store. But she's really good about selecting what haunted items. So I've never got anything bad off her haunted items. I just don't like dolls, and a lot of her stuff's dolls. Dolls
Right.
are a vessel to me. May not be haunted now, but watch out. So it's just, that's my I guess phobia, we could say. Whereas the energy a little farther, you know, sometimes you collect things to collect them
Mm-hmm.
because they're haunted,
Right.
not necessarily why they're haunted, if that makes any sense. And some people are drawn to that energy. They want that energy, and that's them. That's great.
Yeah.
That's not you.
Right.
It's definitely not me.
Yeah. Another thing that I observed was whenever they would come up to your booth, and some of the people just would not touch anything. They just stood back and they looked at every little thing that was there. But it's like they couldn't touch anything. It was really interesting.
Well, there's a rule about touching stones that don't belong to you.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you noticed, but I told them to touch and play. I said, come on in, touch and play. And then they would start touching the stones. They were waiting for permission,
Hmm.
because some people are really, like if it's my personal stone, I have a beautiful tiger eye snake that my friend Krista, the apothecary, made for me. And it's beautiful. And her name's Sylvia, and she's on my desk. And a coworker walked up, oh my gosh, what a cool snake, and picked it up. And I'm like, okay, here comes the selenite. I was just like, thank you. Thanks. Okay, you can put her down now. You run into that. So if you've got people that are into the metaphysical, they respect the stone and they don't want to touch it without permission.
Even when you gave them permission, there were ones that just refused to touch. And then they
Yeah,
just like walked away.
they yeah. Part of that could be the energy like we were discussing earlier, or it could be where they were afraid they're going to buy stuff.
Oh, well, that could be.
Because if you touch it, you pick it up, you get the energy, then, or another thought process is they're not ready for those. They're not there in their development yet.
Ah,
to have a protective stone, because not everybody that goes to these conventions are into the metaphysical. I mean, I had a lot of the vendors buy from me, not all of them, so I'm not bragging, I'm just saying a lot of them do, and have bought me from over the years. So I've slowly kind of talked to them about what the stone does. This one couple, she has these crystal skulls and she puts them in these vintage radios and old phones. It looks really cool. They're really cool. They light up. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
She has anxiety issues, and she came to me a couple years ago, and she walked up and we picked out her stone, and there's a process to that because you have to pick your own stone. I can't pick it for you because the stone's not talking to me, it's talking to you. And she wanted to let me know on Saturday, she goes, I still have that stone. It's still working for me. And she had to have some injections in her spine. And she said, I had that with me, and I was rubbing it crazy. And I'm like, well, that agate has done well for you. And she goes, it sure has. And it helped her, it's rewarding, because it wasn't a piece of jewelry. It was a palm stone that I brought, and it's what she needed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So some people, I think, because when we watched this with someone trying to get a psychic reading, obviously not from me and you. I think it was Saturday. You weren't there. The mother got the psychic reading, but the son was going to. He says, no. And he walked away, and he comes back, and he stands there, and he's looking, and he walks away, and we're like, okay, this is getting entertaining, because there's psychics everywhere. They're across the table from each other. They're down the way, and he comes back again, and she's doing a reading, and she has her little. She likes to put a block up so it's more private.
Right.
You keep, so you can be focused on your reading. And he comes up, and she had a little brochure on the table, and he walks up and he touches it. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's trying to psychically figure out which psychic he should see.
Yep.
And I thought that was commendable. I thought that was very commendable. And then he finally came back and put his name on the book. Finally, just do it. I felt like we were cheering on a game or something. Like, come on, he's going to do it. Oh, I walked away. But he was judging energy. And I think that maybe some of the people that walked away, or they didn't just like my style of jewelry, and that's okay too, or maybe they weren't digging the energy.
Yeah.
I did at one point Friday night. There was a really energy that approached around 8 o'clock on Friday night, and the show went to 9. And it was starting to get a little pushy, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Definitely.
Yeah. I do house cleansings for people that have things in their house. So I always have holy water with me, and I always have, smudge spray. And I brought my Palo Santo smudge spray, and I had the holy water. And I'm like, hey, Kim, I'll be right back. And I didn't tell her where I was going. I went up to the car and got both. And I'm like walking back to the car. I'm like, okay, Spirit. Okay, holy water it is, And what I did was, and I made a mistake in doing this.
Yeah.
I wanted to create a positive barrier between, behind Julie's table where she's giving readings and my table. Well, I did the holy water in front of all the tables, and I didn't tell them what I was doing. I was just kind of like shaking it out, my hand down low, being low key about it. And Kim went, what did you just do? And I went, why? She goes, well, it feels real different now. I went, good or bad? But what was really funny was after I did that, because, I set the intention of putting a barrier, only love and light could come through, pushing, not pushing the energy back at anybody, but just moving it out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
It could go wherever it wants. It just had to leave. And Julie was like, what's different? Something's different. Okay. Well, it was really interesting. I don't know. Should we talk about that, Kim, or not?
Go for it. I found it fascinating.
Well, we did experience where some people made a beeline for my jewelry, and it was almost like a force field stopped them. And they left.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I should have put it on the other side of the table, but across and down a little ways. Not directly across, but down a little ways, with someone on their cell phone, and they were with one of the psychics that was farther down, and she was just meandering about on her phone, distracted by whoever she was talking to in the conversation. Well, she walked all the way to the edge of my table, and wouldn't go any farther, and went like a big arc, and ended up at the corner of Julie's table and didn't go any farther. And she kept doing this arc, and we're just watching it like, oh, okay, sorry about that. So the next day I put the holy water on the other side. And, it's not like there's bad energy. It's just for psychic protection, because as we talked about before, when you're around a lot of energy, your empath abilities that bubble starts to get weak and that. And I don't know about you, Kim, I was exhausted by the time I left. I had a lot of fun, but I was exhausted.
Yeah, I was exhausted too.
And and it's not like they're bad people. These were not bad people, but the block I put up had certain intentions that I should have been a little more. I just wanted that feeling out, away from my table, because it was starting to wear on me a little bit. I mean, it wasn't like, okay, stop. It was more like, okay, let's just calm it down. We just need to calm that energy down. It'll be fine. And it did calm it down.
It did. It got a little overwhelming. It was starting to get overwhelming, and then it did calm it down. The holy water did do its job. It was crazy.
Yes. Yeah. But like I said, I didn't tell you what I was doing. You were like, what did you just do? I'm like, why?
Yep. It was funny.
And, it's always good to have protection. I mean, I had protective stones, obviously. The way the table was set up, I had a row of, pendants on displays, and it basically was blocking me it was blocking us when we were sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, it was a protective screen of stones.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. But when you stood up, you were not as protected as when you were sitting down behind that.
Well, you can't stay hidden forever.
That's true. That's true. Now, I did find this interesting. How spirit makes things happen is just really funny. Stones talk to you, and I know this is not an episode talking about stones, but that's what I had at the show, so I guess we'll talk about it. But I had pendulums, and everybody knows that's listened to the podcast. Carrie loves her pendulums.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, Kim and I set up the table. We had the pendulums, and where I thought was a good spot. And we had put one of the displays of pendants in another spot. And then at that night, we were talking that, the pendants probably aren't getting as much view here. Let's put them here. Let's move the pendulums to this other lesser spot. Saturday morning, the pendulums were the hot item. I had a young girl walk up, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, you got pendulums." I said, "Yeah, you work with pendulums, because I'm going to show you if you don't, and we're going to talk about them, pick out the right stone and different things." And she goes, "I have my favorite pendulum I brought with me." She goes, "And the chain broke last night." I went, "Oh, really? Which one are you going to take home with you?" She goes, "Well, move out of the way. Let me see." Because it was just like that. She's like, "That was really weird. It broke." And she goes, "And now you have pendulums." Everybody, I wasn't the only one selling pendulums.
Right.
There were lots of pendulums.
Yeah.
But she was drawn to my table strictly for that. I had someone else that was going to the pendulums, and her friend's like, "Are you going to buy one?" She goes, "No, I better not." She goes, "What are you doing tonight?" She goes, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You're going to a pendulum grid class. You may want a pendulum." And she goes, "Oh, yeah." So she picked up her pendulum. So it was a lot of fun. And I mean, I'm cleansing the stones as I set them down, putting them on selenite. If you bought something, it went on the selenite first, and then you put it in the bag so it didn't have my energy attached to it, because I think that's very important, because you don't want to take my energy home.
Right. That's true.
But I mean, it was a lot. There was so much variety of things. In the past shows, the vendor room had been open to the public, but we were told by someone who came that it was not open to the public. So we do apologize for that. In the past, it has always been open to the public. It's just the seminars were not. But I think because we were sent to a different building due to construction issues, I think that might have been the reason why. I'm not sure.
Yeah. There might have been a capacity concern as well, since it was I assume it was a smaller space than what you normally had there. So that would make sense as well, I guess.
Yeah, but I can't wait till next year. Now, in the previous years, I actually assisted with one of the investigations, which was interesting because you had different groups investigating. This was actually the Masonic Temple in Alton, Illinois. And so you had all these different equipments. I mean, it was really, really fascinating, fun to watch different people's techniques. Because when I was showing the pendulums, I'm like, well, you could use dowsing to communicate with spirits, because that's basically what you're doing when you're talking. So if you were doing a paranormal investigation of a building, you could ask if anything's present, and have them interact with the pendulum or, dowsing rods.
Oh, yeah, that's
But
true.
yeah, but I mean, there was all sorts of unique items there. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. It was a lot of fun. Very, very interesting. There were duplicate things, of course, in the different booths because people sell what sells, they bring what sells. But then there were some very unique things as well that I found very interesting.
Yes, the young lady who had the dolls that didn't feel bad to you,
Yes.
she had pocket pendulums. They were so cute.
Oh,
I'm like, oh,
I think I
little
saw the.
pocket pendulums in
Yeah,
a little container.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. I bought one for my friend because it had the evil eye on it, and she's all about the evil eye. But I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's really cute.
Yeah, it was cute. I saw those. That was cute.
They're just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of good energy most of the time.
Yeah, and the patrons are just so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. We heard some interesting stories, and some of those are in the clips that I'm going to add later. We didn't get anybody's personal names. Well, we may have gotten their name, but we're not sharing any personal information about anybody. So, but we will have some stories in there. And Julie, by the way, was also there doing her psychic readings, and she's also included in some of these clips that I'm going to add.
Well, and I want to add one thing. Like I said, we met a lot of really friendly people, and it's in a situation like at a paranormal convention. No one's crabby. It's like everybody's there to have fun. They're excited. They want to hear the lectures. And they love the shopping. But Kim and I met this really nice couple, and they have a podcast,
Yes, they do.
and it's called Ghostly Podcast.
Right.
And they do a very interesting take. So I just want to give a shout out to them because we really enjoyed talking to them and started listening to the podcast. It's an interesting perspective, I think.
Right. And they do talk about ghosts and things like that. The concept is one's a believer and one's a skeptic. And they have their conversation about it from both perspectives, and they leave the conclusion to the audience to decide what they believe. And I've been listening to them.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting.
Well, and it's just like some of the paranormal shows, like Ghost Hunters, was the prospect of debunking first. You debunk it first, and then if you can't debunk it anymore, then it's it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were interested in the fact that we grew up in a haunted house.
Yeah, they did. They were.
Yeah, they were very interested in that. But the real nice couple. So if y'all may want to give them a listen to.
Right.
Ghostly Podcast. Yeah, just wanted to shout to them because they were a sweet couple.
They were. They were. All right. Anything else you'd like to talk about as far as the conference? Was there anything different other than it being in a different situation, but anything different for you there?
Each time I go, the energy's different.
Mm-hmm.
Each time I go, the energy's different. There was one year that the energy was very, very dark and very heavy, and it was very hard to be in. But that's the only time it'd been that way, because normally, I'm good with my, spirit usually puts me in a good spot.
Yeah.
Okay, surrounds me with good people.
Yeah. It didn't feel bad. I didn't pick up anything bad this time, so of course it was my only time, but
yes, and it's interesting the speakers that they have and how educated they are in the paranormal and how how many books they've written and the different things that that they have in their wheelhouse. It's just kind of interesting. So it's just not Lenny, Tom, Dick, and Harry they pull up on stage.
yeah,
It's these people are
experts in their field.
are known.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, experts in their field. They're known in their field. They're known in the paranormal, which makes it, I think, more enjoyable for the people who pay tickets to go.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all I have for this episode. Is there anything else that you have for it?
No, I just, it was Kim's idea to let's do a recap. And I'm driving, into Illinois, Friday morning. I'm like, hey, Kim, I was saying, wouldn't it be cool if we kind of do some recording? It's already in the car. I'm like, okay. Microphone's already in the car with the computer. We're good. I'm like, okay, So it was different to do the little clips. Hopefully it's a fun episode for everyone to listen to. And it was just a lot of good, real great energy. Even if we had that one moment, it was still great energy because the energy wasn't like that the next day at
Oh,
all.
well, that's good.
So
So, Carrie, we're set up at the Haunted America conference in
Yes.
Godfrey. What do you think so
Yes.
far?
Well, so far it's just about ready to open up the doors. It's a lot of fun energy in the room. We haven't gotten to go to all the booths yet, but we've had a lot of people come by, and it's going to be a really fun event, I think. What do you think, Kim?
Well, I agree. I do think that there was a whole lot of energy when we first came in.
And well, you had a deja vu moment.
I did. I had a really big one. All of
Yeah.
a sudden we walked in and my stomach did that grab thing that it does when I start to experience something. And then all of a sudden I saw one conference room. It was like, oh, wait, I've been here before. This is the deja vu.
So now you have to figure out what that meant.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, because I dreamt it. This is one of the deja vus that came in the dreams.
Oh,
so.
perfect. So
yeah.
we look forward to hearing what that turned out to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so in the booth next to us is our sister Julie, and her Facebook is Jules Psychic Reads. Say hi, Julie.
Hello, everyone.
So, what do you think so far about the convention as far as the feel of it and everything when you came in?
Well, it was a little chaotic because everybody was setting up first when we first got here. But I think it's going to be a really positive convention. I have a lot of excitement around in the air, and I think it's going to be just really a neat experience. I hope people will come out and enjoy it.
I'm sure they will. It's been storming, so that's definitely amped up some energy here, hasn't it?
That's for sure. It really amped up the feel and the excitement and the electricity. Electricity is what I'm trying to say. I started to say elasticity.
That's a problem, too, sometimes.
That's a big problem.
Was there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners here?
Well, I'm going to be doing readings this weekend. I know by the time you hear this, it'll be past. But I usually am extremely busy and sell out, so it'll be a pretty fun weekend, pretty busy weekend for me.
We'll be certain to tag you on the Facebook page and everything, and put your link in the show notes and stuff whenever we publish. So don't worry, we'll get you out there.
Great, that'll be great.
I'm sure I'll talk some more to you as it goes by.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so the convention has really kicked up, and it's kind of noisy. Hopefully y'all can hear what we're saying here. But Julie, did you have any kind of interesting readings yet so far here at the convention?
Yes, I was just talking to a lawyer, and they asked me to consult on 2 cases, and I was able to describe to her the 2 murder cases that she was asking me to consult on. So that was very exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. Now, did you feel anything while you were doing this? Did you sense it more than just your psychic reading? Were there other abilities kicking in for that?
Yeah, I was able to bring forward the 2 murder victims because she didn't tell me they were murder victims, so I was able to bring forth the murder victims and get in contact with them and tell her, actually describe how they died, and she said I was 100% accurate.
And you didn't feel that? It was just strictly that they came through and said, this is what we are and this is what happened?
Yeah, I didn't physically feel what happened, but it was strictly psychic.
That is so cool. So cool. Fun things happen in here, isn't it?
It was very exciting. It was the first time I ever consulted that way, so it was a new one for me. Very exciting.
Great. Thanks. I'm sure we'll be back for more. Carrie, so how do you think this has been going today so far here at the convention?
Oh my gosh, there has been so much energy at the table. It's been amazing.
Yeah, there's been so much energy all around. I know I took a little wander down to some of the booths, and at one of them I got an overwhelming feeling of sadness for some reason. Didn't narrow that one down. But I had another deja vu moment after that, and I'm like, well, okay, been here before.
Well, you're going to be doing a lot of processing later.
Definitely. Another thing I found really interesting was we had someone come to the booth, and her name is Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca, if you're
Rebecca, if you're listening.
But she had a really interesting story to tell us, and you could just feel from her that she was just wide open.
Yeah, her psychic abilities were wide open, and she seems like a very powerful psychic, I thought. Didn't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely agree with that. She had told us a great history about her family, but we, of course, won't share that private information. We didn't ask her if we could, so. But we're meeting all kinds of people that are like that. Wouldn't you agree that they if they are having someone follow them or with them, they're definitely a lot of energy with them?
Oh, you mean people, her ancestors attached? Her ancestors
Well,
are with her?
well, I'm talking in general, that here, people that are visiting here at the convention.
We have thunder.
We have thunder. What I'm saying is, other people that are here, you can definitely feel their energy, and some have spirits with them, their family members with them.
They do, especially because a lot of people come here because there's so many people doing psychic readings, and the loved ones that have transitioned know this, and so especially when they're with them all the time, and so it's heightened up when they get a psychic reading because those people want to step forward, and so they're just waiting for an opportunity, and so it gives a lot more energy when someone comes to the table and it's not just them. You know, they've got their family members with them, and you know, and so we do pick up on that.
Yeah, and it's been really neat because there's a tarot reader here. I saw another booth that had someone that reads auras to get an aura reading, and there was I think it's a crystal energy treatment or something like that.
It's Reiki.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, she was doing Reiki.
Oh.
Yeah. She has all set for Reiki. Doing Reiki. So yeah, she's kind of got her little space all corded off, you know, because that's something that you want to be very careful with and mindful of. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so we're back again, and it's a couple hours till we're done for the day, and then it will close, and then we'll open up again tomorrow for vendors. Is that it for the vendors today and tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So tomorrow, Carrie and Julie will both be enjoying the entertainment that we've had today. So do you have any funny story you want to tell about today so far?
I don't know, funny. It's been quite the weather. We've had like 12 seasons, I think, today. You know, we're not cold. We were hot earlier. It was just good traffic, good vibe, good feeling of people coming through. I mean, do you have a funny story, Julie?
No, there's just lots of interesting people walking around. We've had people in masks and people in costumes and a lot of different types of personalities walking around that have been quite entertaining.
Yes, the Ghostbusters are here.
Yes, the Ghostbusters have entered the building, and we have been.
Yeah, and so is Hannibal Lecter, evidently.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still not certain how Hannibal Lecter fits into this, but do you know?
I think he kills people.
He creates the dead for the haunted America.
Yeah,
he creates the hauntings.
Yeah, he's helping. He's doing his part. Yeah, for this paranormal convention. A little ghost hunting going on. It's interesting the diverse amount of energy that you do get in an environment like this, because you've got you have lots of psychics, and everybody's at a different energy level, different vibration. Don't you think, Julie, that's really shooting off some chaotic energy?
Yeah, I would agree with that. You get some people who are very open and to other people, to other psychics, and you get some people who aren't very open to other psychics, and you get kind of a little bit of sparks flying energy-wise. It's kind of interesting.
It's been interesting to watch.
Yeah.
It's been entertaining, too. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I may or may not have sent some of that out. Sorry, people.
Rein the energy in.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, tomorrow you're not going to be with us, so we won't be doing any recording tomorrow of the show because you're going to be off doing fireworks.
Fireworks. Yeah.
Should be out blowing things up.
Yep. Get to blow things up real good.
Yeah. Hopefully not creating any entities for investigating.
Is there anything you want to add to the podcast?
No.
Hang on. All right. So I'll give you this. Well, just want to say thank you, Julie, for being on the podcast again today. We hope that you've done well here at the the vendor fair.
Thank you. I've been pretty busy, and I'll be even busier tomorrow because Saturdays are busier than Fridays. So I'm glad you're doing this today instead of tomorrow because I don't think I'd have been able to participate.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you for helping us put together the podcast. And
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, I say we wrap this one up.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in to this episode of Psychic Bent. And, of course, give us any feedback you have from this episode. Love to hear it.
I agree.
Well, thanks, listeners. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. We can be reached on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.